Hey, what's going on, folks? We have a new show for you today. The New York Times published a report recently that the U.S. believes Ukrainians were behind the assassination in Russia that killed the daughter of a prominent Russian nationalist. We're going to read that story. Pretty crazy. And I also want to play this clip that went extremely viral on Twitter of a Columbia University economics professor on Bloomberg saying that he thinks the United States did the attack on the Nordstream pipeline. This is the type of stuff they don't let on television very often. Pretty wild.
The destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline, which I would bet was a U.S. action, perhaps U.S. and Poland. This is
Jeff, we got to stop there. That's quite a statement as well. Why do you feel that was a U.S. action? What evidence do you have of that?
Well, first of all, there's direct radar evidence that U.S. helicopters, military helicopters that are normally based in Gdansk, were circling over this area. We also had the threats from the United States earlier in this year that one way or another, we are going to end Nord Stream. We also have a remarkable statement by Secretary Blinken last Friday in a press conference. He says, this is also a tremendous opportunity. It's a strange way to, it's a strange way to talk if you're worried about the piracy on international infrastructure of vital significance. So I know this runs counter to our narrative. You're not allowed to say these things in the West. But the fact of the matter is, all over the world, when I talk to people, they think the U.S. did it. And just to tell you, and by the way, even reporters on our papers that are involved tell me privately, of course, but it doesn't show up in our media.
Professor, I don't want to get into tit for tat about what did or didn't.
And then we're going to go over this verified blue checkmark Twitter user trying to demonize and fine the unvaccinated a year ago, only to now say that he's experiencing a harsher reaction to the COVID jab than he did to his actual bout with COVID. His words, not mine. We'll talk about it now. We're live.
The Dream Rare Podcast, welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. It's the Dream Rare Podcast, welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles.
Hey, what's going on? Thank you everybody for joining today. If you missed the clip or you saw the clip, what we played was a Columbia professor who got on Bloomberg and basically accused the United States of the Nord Stream attack, or said that he thinks that the United States did it, which is pretty crazy. You don't see a lot of stuff like that on television, so pretty wild that they let that air. Before I talk about my main story that's really interesting, the New York Times wrote an article. The U.S. believes Ukrainians were behind the assassination in Russia. One of Putin's top advisors, I think, some people consider him the brains behind Putin. I don't know how true that is or how influential this guy is, but he definitely is a Russian national and pretty close to Putin. His daughter was assassinated a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and it seemed like they tried to assassinate him and ended up killing his daughter. I mean, pretty messed up stuff. And the United States intelligence communities are saying they think Ukraine was behind it, but saying that the U.S. had no involvement, which is just interesting. You very rarely see publications like the New York Times or even the intelligence communities in America say, oh, we think it was Ukraine, but they're actually doing that, which I find pretty interesting. So we're going to go over that article. Before I do that, I want to show this two-part tweet. I did an Instagram reel and the TikTok of it, but I want to share it on Facebook, YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble as well. I think he's an editor at The Sun, blue verified checkmark guy on Twitter. He went from demonizing unvaccinated people to wondering why his reaction was more severe than his COVID bout. His words, not mine. We're going to read them now. So here's Kelvin McKenzie. He said in 10/12/2021, that's actually my birthday, but he said, I'm massively hostile to the anti-vaxxers. Love the Singapore idea of making them pay for their hospital treatment. Or if that's too strong, the Greek idea of finding the elderly 85, whatever currency that is. Oh, sorry, here, I gotta run it back. I ran out of room. He said, I'm massively hostile to the anti-vaxxers. Love the Singapore idea of making them pay for their hospital treatment. Or if that's too strong, the Greek idea of finding the elderly 85, whatever currency that is, for every month they refuse the vaccine. Something must be done. And then just a year later, a couple days ago, he said, "Am I currently having a much worse reaction to my COVID jab than either of my 2 actual bouts of COVID? Am I unique?" So he goes in a short year from demonizing the unvaccinated, trying to find them and make them pay for their own hospital bills in a different way, to asking the world, am I unique? Is it just me that's having a worse reaction to the medication than to the actual disease itself? And is anybody out there? Can anybody confirm that's true? See, we don't know how true it is. We don't know how common it is because the social media companies are working for big tech, and fact checkers are basically just little demon gremlin operatives who come out of their hole every couple days to try to cover up information that goes counter to what big pharma wants to do to make money. So we don't know. Maybe you are unique. Maybe you're not. Who knows? We don't know. And I try to say this, like I said in my Instagram and TikTok, if you're a fact checker and you pop out of your little demon hole, I know you guys like eat pizza bagels in your little demon hole, you pop out and say, is Anomaly talking about big pharma? Is he talking about vaccine injuries? And this is just me telling you, fact check. Both of those tweets were true. I fact checked it myself. So this video is not for you. You can go back, crawl in your demon hole and live this like unfulfilling life of a liar, a fraud, a cover-up agent, and a coward. This one's not for you, okay, little demon? Go back to your hole, okay? So this is for my audience, for the good people of the world, people who seek truth, knowledge, information, reality, not for the fact checkers who really just provide cover for big pharma. So don't worry, I fact checked those tweets already. They're both real, and I didn't say that. He said it, so let's calm down. Speaking of which, let's get to the main story of the day, and then we'll take some of your user comments. The New York Times wrote an article recently. It says, I saw this because Glenn Greenwald tweeted it. U.S. believes Ukrainians were behind an assassination in Russia. American officials said they were not aware of the plan ahead of time for an attack that killed Daria Dugina, and that they had admonished Ukraine over it. Let's read the article. United States intelligence agencies believe parts of the Ukrainian government authorized the car bomb attack near Moscow in August that killed Daria Dugina, the daughter of a prominent Russian nationalist, an element of a covert campaign the U.S. officials fear could widen the conflict. The United States took no part in the attack, either by providing intelligence or other assistance, officials have said. American officials also said they were not aware of the operation ahead of time and would have opposed the killing had they been consulted. Afterwards, American officials admonished Ukrainian officials over the assassination, they said. They closely held assessment of Ukrainian complicity, which had not been previously reported, was shared with the U.S. government last week. Ukraine denied involvement in the killing immediately after the attack, and senior officials repeated those denials when asked about the American intelligence assessment. While Russia had not retaliated in a specific way for the assassination, the United States is concerned that such attacks, while high in symbolic value, have little direct impact on the battlefield and could provoke Moscow to carry out its own strikes against senior Ukrainian officials. American officials have been frustrated with Ukraine's lack of transparency about its military and covert plans, especially on Russian soil. Guys, you know it must be bad if the intelligence communities in America and the New York Times are pretty much leaking this information or giving the public this information. I'm no fan of the New York Times, but the fact that even they're concerned with what Ukraine is doing should really show you who Ukraine really is. So, I mean, just an evil thing to kill somebody's daughter. I mean, that's really, really low. That's really evil. And the U.S. is saying we think Ukraine's government did it. Ukraine's government's saying we didn't do it. And it seems like the U.S. intelligence officials are not thrilled with what Ukraine's doing. So, I mean, I don't really know what's going on over there. I'm not going to say more than I really have the authority to as far as where my knowledge goes. But if the New York Times and the intelligence communities in America are starting to distance themselves from Ukraine's government on an act like this and say that they're concerned with their lack of transparency, God only knows what these people are really doing. I mean, Elon Musk just tweeted a plan for peace, and they basically threatened him. You got high-level people in Ukraine threatening American citizens for suggesting a peace deal. Even if you disagree with the peace deal, be like, okay, shut up, Elon Musk. Threatening him? I mean, these people are bad news. I'm sorry, folks. We got ourselves in the middle of a really messed up proxy war. Russia and Ukraine have a shared history. They have a lot of similarities. There's some ethnic, I would say, beefing going on there. And we've inserted ourselves into a decades old, situation and conflict that we really have very little understanding in, at least like the average person. Like, it's just like, oh, Ukraine bad, Russia good, or Russia, the other way around. Most people are saying Russia bad, Ukraine good. And it's like the same Ukraine I just showed yesterday in my live stream that the media was calling them neo-Nazis for 3 years, and now all of a sudden they're being celebrated. I don't know if they really have ties to that or not, but it's like, are you sure that they're the heroes of the world? That's who Ukraine is now. They went from, known by the media as one of the most corrupt countries, in Europe. I mean, there's been reports where they're calling them like top in corruption. But no. They're just amazing. I mean, it's just the greatest thing ever, and they've never done anything wrong, even though they're just assassinating people's daughters, and they're doing such a sloppy and crappy job that even the United States intelligence communities and the New York Times are trying to like distance themselves from them. I mean, that's how unquestionable they are, but that's what it is. So let me know what you guys think. I'm going to keep this one relatively brief, but if you have any comments on this or anything, I'm going to stay around probably and just make this a 20-minute live stream. So we have 9 minutes. Those are the stories of the day. A professor on television pretty much saying that he thinks the U.S. did the attack on the pipeline. Pretty bold, pretty brave, and, pretty interesting. Then that story of the Sun editor who had been demonizing vaccinated people this time last year, and now all of a sudden is wondering if anybody else had a side effect like he has. But you don't want to go there, buddy. I mean, you can go there, but as reports come out, I think everybody will know what's going on. But I mean, what's there not to know about you? If you get it, you'll be good. And then it's like every 2 months, if you've had a vaccine within less than 2 months, get your booster. I mean, most people are catching on to the fact that what they originally said is not what it is. So not much to be said there. And then the third story about even the U.S. intelligence communities distancing themselves from from the Ukrainian government. So we'll see. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to read another thing too. Kanye West is like calling out the Kushner family. It's pretty funny. I'm going to read you. Kanye's going off. Maybe this is a little selfish because Kanye is stirring up a lot of controversy, but I love a good Kanye rant. I love a good Kanye, breakthrough. He posted today on his Instagram, F-U-C-K Josh Kushner. What if I had 10% of Karlie Kloss underwear line without you knowing? And you only had 5% without you knowing. Jared was holding Trump back. Ivanka is fire. So, I mean, you don't gotta love that, but I personally think it's hilarious. He's saying F Josh Kushner, maybe that's Jared Kushner's brother or something, I don't know. And he's being like a little kid on a playground. He's like, what if I had 10% of Karlie Kloss underwear line without you knowing? And you only had 5% without you knowing. Jared was holding Trump back. So he said Jared Kushner was holding Trump back. And then he called Ivanka, Jared's wife, fire. I mean, Kanye's pretty bold. He's accusing one of the richest people in the world, Bernard Arnault, however you say that, of assassinating his friend. He's pretty much dumping on the Kushner family. I mean, I don't know. I love to see it, but I don't know that it's the most graceful way. But, I personally, for my own entertainment, think it's hilarious. Someone says Kanye's superpowers off the hook the last few days. I mean, he's definitely just spazzing on the game. I think everything he's been thinking, he's just like texting. Calling Ivanka fire, I mean, I don't know if that's the most polite thing to do, but it's definitely pretty funny. Someone said Jared Kushner and his wife are globalists. Yeah, I mean, I don't fully trust Jared, but we'll see. Someone said Kanye even called out the Clintons. Yeah, I saw that. Let's see. Kanye could sell whatever organizations he wants. I don't know what that meant. Kanye called Black Lives Matter a scam. Yeah, we covered that in yesterday's live stream. I'm trying to calm it down today because we had a pretty intense live stream yesterday. So I'm trying to balance it out with the calm one. We could do some breathing exercises today. Get some good breathing in. Maybe watch some Bob Ross painting. By the way, sorry guys. I forgot, on dreamrare.com, I have these God Bless beanies. Like, they're very high quality, made in the United States. It's beanie season. We got blue beanies and black beanies. I might make another design too, but these are real deal, you know, made in the US, good quality. You know, I don't sell trash. There's so many things I want to do, folks, but I turn down like 95% of offers because I'm just so picky, you know, with brands. If I don't like something, I don't do it. So these were like years in the making to get the beanies, and I have other products I've been working on, but things just keep falling through. It's so frustrating. But the beanies are probably my favorite thing. The black beanies and the blue beanies, they're pretty fire. Someone said Anomaly cares. I try. I mean, when it comes to selling products, I just don't want to sell something I don't believe in. I'm not that desperate for money, but even if I was, I think my brand is telling the truth. Like, if I call out the left or the right, you know, I'm not doing, like, I can pivot and people will respect it. Not everybody's going to like what I say, but I haven't branded myself as, oh, I'm just a cheerleader for the Republican Party. That's all I do is cheerlead and provide no value. Then if you tell the truth against the Republican Party or vice versa, you've like or if you're just a Trump hater on the left, that's your brand, and it's like you can't pivot. So luckily, thanks to people, I'm able to say what I want and say the truth, and even if it's inconvenient, it works for me. And I think part of that with my products, it's just who I am. It's not like a thing I'm doing, but I can't sell something I don't like. Even if Coca-Cola is like, I'll pay you $5 million to sell Coca-Cola, I wouldn't do it. I'm not even kidding. They can come to me right now and say $5 million, I'm not selling Coca-Cola. It's just not happening. So even ethical companies, if I wouldn't use it myself, if I wouldn't wear it and I don't like it, then it's just like, I don't care how much you're offering. I've turned down multi-$1,000 advertising deals that would have taken me 5 minutes just because I don't like some of the ingredients and, some of the quality. But someone said sell them to Tim Pool. When I got pretty much somewhat stood up by Tim Pool's like little staff, I did bring him a beanie. I was going to try to put a God Bless beanie on his head. He always wears like a blank beanie like Charlie Brown. I was trying to spice up his life, like the Spice Girls. Spice up your life, every boy. I was going to get him a God Bless beanie. He was going to radiate with the power of the Lord and Savior. It would have been a good time, but it's all good. Someone said $5 million, I'd do it. I hear you. I mean, it's an easy amount of money, but I just think it's kind of cringe when I see celebrities like Subway, eat fresh. It's like, do you really eat Subway? Like, I mean, I've eaten Subway before, don't get me wrong. It's not like I've never eaten a Subway sandwich, but, you have all this money. You got hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, how bad do you really want to sell, like, bleached bread and, like, crappy meat? Like, I'm not anti-Subway, but it's definitely, as you get healthier, you realize that they're not using the greatest ingredients. But I guess most State Farm, like, here, go into debt with insurance. Like, I get it, though. Everyone needs insurance. Like, at a certain point, it's not that bad, but I don't know. I'm more picky with what I want to sell. Someone said, bean me, bro. I don't want to mess up my hair. I'm having a good hair day, but you know what I'm saying? Got the beanie on. My song, by the way, guys, my song's coming out next Friday with Bryson Gray. I'm working on the music video. No joke, it's going to be fire. It's probably the best music video I've ever done, so I'm super, super excited about that. We're going to try to hit #1 on the Billboard charts. I want to see this. Hobbs said, Anomaly, what do you think of reports that Trump was going to pardon Snowden? Threatened with impeachment stopped him. Glenn Greenwald reported this. Could be true. I mean, it absolutely could be true because, that's kind of how they controlled Trump. I think the first 3 years they controlled him with the Russia collusion. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to say you worked with Russia. So they used that, even though it didn't really do anything, it did change Trump's trajectory. And with impeachment, I'm sure that's a possibility. Maybe he really would have done something cooler. But here's my thought about Snowden, and this might not be popular because I've historically liked Edward Snowden. I don't think he's the criminal that they say he is, and I think he showed that the NSA was illegally spying, so it wasn't a bad leak. I'm not really a fan of Edward Snowden anymore because I see his Twitter, and Edward Snowden's kind of like a libtard. And I'm not saying that means he's illegal or something, but he's pushing, like, he was saying some stupid stuff about, I don't remember if it was like BLM or where I'm like, oh, he's just like, for such a smart guy, he's wrong in my opinion about a few things. But I'm not saying that means he should be banished to Russia. But I don't trust him anymore. I used to like him more, but I'm seeing the stuff. I feel like he's supporting I can't remember exactly what, but he was basically downplaying riots and, super messed up stuff. But I don't want to speak on it without having the exact tweet. I just remember seeing his takes and I was like, oh, maybe Snowden's not who I actually thought. Maybe Snowden's not who I thought he was, because he's playing right into the hands of the people that, don't seem to like us very much. In my perspective, I don't know, but if I were to pardon one of them, I guess Julian Assange isn't really a U.S. citizen, so I don't know the legalities there. But my instinct tells me that Julian Assange is more real than Edward Snowden. I don't know if it's true or not. That's just my instinct. Snowden gets to go on Joe Rogan. Snowden gets to be verified on Twitter. Julian Assange is sitting in prison and he doesn't have a Twitter. I'm not saying that necessarily means that he's better than Snowden, but that's my intuition. For somebody that's so taboo, Edward Snowden seems to have the red carpet rolled out for him and get on the biggest podcast, get to do the biggest interviews. Julian Assange doesn't get to do that. They're trying to kill the guy. So, I mean, maybe he did a bigger leak, I don't know if I'm right or not. Yeah, he's Australian. I understand that. Well, I think what Julian Assange did pissed off the deep state more than Snowden, because Snowden, that leak was a leak, but it wasn't that crazy. Like, it didn't, I don't know. It's like, oh, the NSA spying, and then he runs to Russia, or he has to go or something. With Assange, it's more like he released John Podesta's emails before an election. I mean, say what you want, but that probably had an impact. I mean, that definitely had an impact on the election. So, who is America more mad at? The guy who just said the NSA spying when everyone pretty much thought that anyway, but then there was proof? Or the guy who leaked John Podesta's emails a couple months before an election, when they didn't want that to happen? So I guess that would make, Julian Assange a bigger enemy to these people, because that was a more severe leak. That was a crazy leak. That's crazy that happened, Pretty wild. And not to be a downer, but after all of this stuff, the leaks, the theories, the trust the plans, the Donald Trump, the drains the swamps, the lock her up, after all that, it was America that got locked up, not Podesta or Hillary. It was Trump supporters who got locked up, not the deep state. And now Biden's employing Podesta. I'm not a doomer and a gloomer. I'm just saying, after all that hype, after all that, 4 years of Trump, after all the lock her up and drain the swamp, the guy Podesta ended up he's working with the government and Biden. So it's nothing really got done. I'm not trying to be negative, but everyone's like, oh, it's going to happen in 7 years. Just keep closing your eyes. And, it's like, if I wanted to play make-believe, I'd put on the metaverse. You know what I'm saying? I'd put on some Zuckerberg goggles and go into Fantasyland, but I don't. Someone said Snowden helped Trump win in 2016 and Trump called him a traitor. Here's the thing about Trump. I'm not going to say whether he's right or wrong, because I think in some cases he's right, some cases he's wrong. But Trump is a very good salesman, right? He's a good businessman. Trump sold everybody in 2016 on I love WikiLeaks, because WikiLeaks was playing in his favor. So if you watch Trump in 2016, what I'm going to say about Trump right now is not rude or mean. It's just pretty honest. He was playing into WikiLeaks. Oh, WikiLeaks, because it made him look good. But as soon as he gets elected, he doesn't give a crap about Julian Assange or WikiLeaks. He's just using Julian Assange because Julian Assange slightly helped him, whether he meant to or not. Trump doesn't like leakers. Trump doesn't like whistleblowers. He's not who people think he is. He's not someone who's oh, good, that person, whistle blew and spied on America. Most of conservatives would be happy. Yeah, we consider that a righteous whistleblow because you exposed corruption. That's what whistleblowing is supposed to do. Trump is not that person. He just plays the role of that person to get people's favor. But as soon as he gets into office, he hates whistleblowers. Trump is like a boomer neocon when it comes to whistleblowers. He's the type, lock them up, execute them. Trump doesn't like any whistleblowers. He never has. He's been pretty transparent about that for the last 10 years. You can make the decision whether he's right or wrong, because there's a philosophical argument. Some would say a whistleblower is a traitor, right? You're spilling secrets. And if you work for the NSA, you are breaking the law. But that's where it becomes weird. You're breaking the law to show that they broke the law. You know what I'm saying? So technically you are breaking the law by leaking, and you're going against contracts you've signed with the government. But at the same time, the government's also breaking the law. So now you're a whistleblower, becomes a fishy water. Some people say, thank you for showing that they broke the law, and we're glad you broke the law to show they broke the law. And other people like Trump are just saying, you broke the law, execute them, banish them, put them in jail. Like, Trump doesn't like Snowden. Trump doesn't like Julian Assange. He's never liked whistleblowers. Trump is like a boomer neocon, like, every whistleblower is a traitor. That's kind of how Trump has thought, in my opinion. But he pretended like he liked Assange and WikiLeaks because that leak helped him out. It's kind of like with the Q stuff. Everybody's like, why won't he condemn the Q stuff? Why would Trump condemn the Q stuff? It's a bunch of people who think that he's like Nikola Tesla's son who's here to arrest the pedophiles. He has no interest to debunk a group of people that love him and vote for him and worship him harder than his own supporters. Why would he do? You get what I'm saying? So I think there's certain things that if it plays in his favor, like strategically, he's not gonna downplay it. But then once he gets into power, it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna lock her up. I'm not really gonna drain the swamp. I'm not gonna help Snowden, or I'm not gonna help Assange. Like, I don't care about that guy. I just needed his WikiLeaks to win the election. So, I don't think he likes whistleblowers. And I'm not saying that just talking shit. If you look at Trump's history, in fact, rest in peace, by the way, rest in peace, John McAfee. If he's dead, I think he is, but I don't know. There's been reports, I saw in the news that like someone was saying they thought he was alive. He probably is dead, but I have no idea. Anyway, I just saw that article. Rest in peace, John McAfee. But John McAfee, when he ran for president in 2016 under like the Cyber Party or whatever, he had brought up this point that a lot of people don't remember about Trump. When there was this big terrorist shooting, I think it was in San Bernardino or somewhere, I forget. There was this big terrorist case, and the government was going to Apple. And the company Apple was putting their hands up and saying, listen, we can't give you the information on this shooter, because if we give you this information, we open our lock safe and then nobody has safe information. So in my opinion, Apple was right. You don't want a terrorist to get away or anything, but at the same time, it's the same thing as the Patriot Act. You got to understand how things work. You can't just open up Apple, because if the government is allowed to get into Apple's info for one person, they could do it for everyone. So Apple said, no, we're not breaking our coding in order to get you access to this. We can't do it, or else everybody's data is unsafe. Donald Trump was he was trying to strong arm Apple. He was like, oh, you're supporting terrorists, There's a video of Trump when he was running for office saying he wanted Bill Gates to shut the internet off, like for ISIS. Like, dude, Trump is kind of an idiot. Like, he plays this role of like this genius savant, like for the people. He's anti-whistleblower. He's anti-Apple keeping your information private. He doesn't understand how the internet works, and wanted he literally said he was going to talk to Bill Gates to shut off a part of the internet. Like, that's not how it works, bro. He's friends with Bill Gates. People think Trump's like fighting Bill Gates. Trump's friends with Bill Gates. Been friends with him for years. Offered him a position in the White House, worked with him on the universal flu vaccine rollout. Trump is like Bill Gates' side guy, but he just has done a good job convincing conservatives, like, I'm fighting the deep state. Yeah, Bill, what do you want me to do? Can we shut off the internet? Do you want vaccine? Like, so it's, people don't want to hear this, but at this point, it's so obvious. So he did a lot of things right, but when it comes to whistleblowers and like keeping your information private, Trump is not a libertarian. He's like, give your information to the government. There's terrorists, open the Apple keys and get everyone's information out. That's what he was doing in like 2015. He's not like an infallible like wizard on your side. He's not even really like libertarian. He's just like an opportunist. Like, I'll do what I have to do to get what I need, and then once I get it, it's like whatever. But I wish I could find the part about him talking about Bill Gates. Let me see. Bill Gates, Trump. It's pretty funny. Internet. Donald Trump wants Bill Gates to close the internet up. Fortune, 2015. Let me see what Trump said. At a campaign rally, of course, it's like a paywall. I'm not going to actually read that. All right. Time. ISIS recruits through the internet. ISIS is using the internet better than we use the internet, and it was our idea, Trump said. I want to get the brilliant people from Silicon Valley and other places to figure out a way that ISIS can't do what they're doing. CNN moderator Wolf Blitzer tried to get Trump to clarify. Are you open to closing parts of the internet, Blitzer said. I would certainly be open to closing areas where we are at war with somebody, Trump said. I am sure as hell don't want to let these people kill us and kill our nation. Yes, I am, sir. I want to see where he said, oh, here's Trump said, we have to go see Bill Gates and a lot of different people that really understand what's happening. We have to talk to them about maybe in certain areas closing the internet up in some way. Somebody will say, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. These are foolish people. We have a lot of foolish people. So he was floating the idea to talk to Bill Gates and see if he could close part of the internet up. And it's interesting because although obviously censorship is not good, but like the irony that he wanted to close the internet up and was making fun of libertarians for saying free speech, free speech, free speech. This is the same logic that they have for taking his away. Of course, Trump is an ISIS, but it's like that's the left-wing logic. They say, oh, free speech doesn't matter because your voice is too bad, you know? And I get ISIS as an extreme example, and I don't like ISIS, and I think that they should be monitored and stuff online. It's not like you should just let them talk and not read and see what they're doing. But at the end of the day, with the Patriot Act, with censorship, this is how, with the Apple coding, it's like I understand that there's going to be a bad person that you want access to their information, but if that person's information is not safe, no one's information is safe. So we have to decide, do we want to live in a world where there's privacy, or do we want to live in a world where the government can get into anybody's stuff at any time and use it for any reason? Most people until 5 years ago said, no, we understand why there's privacy. We understand why certain, like, freedom of speech exists. Like, yes, you know, most people don't like the KKK, but they still were allowed to march. Why? Because people like them? No, most people, their approval rating has to be in the toilet. It's probably under like 1% in this country. But people still allowed them to do stuff, not because they liked them, because they understood if they could take away their right, although it seems crazy, then they could take away mine and they could take away yours. And that's a philosophy that people don't understand anymore. So it is kind of ironic that he wanted to close off the internet and said that freedom of speech wasn't a good method to prevent that. And then the left wing uses similar logic with him and just treats him like worse than ISIS. Like, oh, your voice is too dangerous. It's like, you know, the things that ISIS are doing, like if they're doing illegal stuff, selling weapons, selling drugs, like, yeah, you know, get them on it. But as far as if they're talking, read their talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, ISIS talking on a message board is not the worst thing in the world. It's ISIS actually killing people and, like, you know, hurting people and slitting their throats. Like, that's the big gist, not their talking on the internet. So if they're talking, read it, monitor it. You know what I'm saying? Get the intelligence communities to tap into it so they can see what they're doing. But as far as closing off the internet, I mean, I guess I get what you're trying to do, but you know, it's like with a phone, I guess if you own all the radio waves, you can like stop them from texting each other. But at a certain point, if you can't do that, why would you close the internet? They're going to be able to communicate somehow, right? I don't know. But did I hear about Eugene Yu, software CEO, arrested for stealing U.S. election worker data, storing it on Chinese servers? I did. Yeah, I want to read more of that story real quick. Let me see. Eugene Yu, thank you for bringing that up. Maybe I could do a whole one. New York Post, software CEO arrested for stealing election worker data, storing it on Chinese servers. Maybe I'll do a whole video on this later this week. So here's the thing with the election stuff. It's obvious to most of my audience. We have a smart audience here, but when you can't question something, you're allowing people to do it. For instance, with Big Pharma, maybe they make a good product. Maybe they make a shitty product, but Big Pharma does not have an 100% track record. So a citizen needs to be able, a journalist, a video creator, whatever, an internet user, an average citizen, whoever, needs to be able to question Big Pharma. Because if you essentially make it illegal to question Big Pharma, you're making it 100% easy for them to get away with anything. It's like Fauci doesn't care what he does because he has this persona now. I am the science. I'm Anthony Fauci. You disagree with me, you disagree with science. That's not how it works. So with election stuff, not everybody talking about the election is accurate. It's true. Everybody's not making sense when they talk about the election. People are grasping at straws sometimes, but for the most part, if you don't allow people to question the election or question the machines, you have to watch what you say when it comes to defamation and stuff. You got to know what you're talking about and be accurate. But this new concept that Democrats are creating on social media, that you're not even allowed to question anything with a machine or anything with the election or the integrity or the mass mail-in ballots or how long it counts to vote, or Pennsylvania that takes 6 days when Italy can count in under 24 hours. You know, this is very dangerous because when you don't allow people on social media to communicate about this type of stuff, then you allow people to do whatever they want. So, this guy, I'm glad he got caught. If he was really doing something illegal, it's not surprising when it comes to all this stuff. Elections, they're spending billions of dollars. Guys, people rob a store for Jordans, you know what I'm saying, in the hood and in the not hood sometimes. You got, Enron, you got scammers, you got pyramid schemes, you got Ponzi schemes. People are scamming all the time. Big Pharma's got caught with lawsuits. This idea that people rob in the inner cities, people rob in the suburbs, criminals that are poor and middle class rob, bankers rob, big pharma robs, like all these people get committed with fraud. It's not like everybody's a scammer, but there are scammers at the high and low levels of society. There's theft all over the place and corruption, but when it comes to this election that we're spending billions of dollars on, you know what I'm saying? Left-wingers will spend billions. Right-wingers will spend billions. Billions of dollars flowing in of donor money. Hundreds of millions of dollars of, lobbyist money, where the most powerful industries in the world are paying off left-wing and right-wing politicians to accomplish, business goals. That this election is just going to be perfect because that's just the way it is. It's the most consequential thing in the entire country, is putting in people that believe in these rules and these rules, or putting in these people who believe in these rules. And at this point, although both parties are fraudulent, the left and right, at least socially, are living in completely different realities. So it's a big deal. Like, right-wingers don't want left-wingers to win, and left-wingers don't want right-wingers to win. We're living in pretty much different realities at this point with how we see it. But there's going to be an election where you're not even allowed to question it. This is insane. I don't like to say things I don't know. So if I'm not going to just start blaming things with the election, but when it came to the last election, mass mail-in ballots, I don't think are a good idea. Not having voter identification, I don't think it's a good idea. Taking 5 days to count, I don't think that's a good idea. It's all bad. It's not the best way. And the fact that they're saying it's the best way, it's the same thing they do with Big Pharma. They're just covering it up. Oh, this is the greatest election ever. It's the most safe and effective. Them saying this is the most safe and effective election is like Big Pharma saying it's the most safe and effective vaccine. You could say that. You could cover it up. You could delete my video. You could take away people's money. I mean, you could do it. Doesn't mean you're right. You could lie. I mean, you could shift the sands of time, but it's still not true. I wouldn't say that the 2020 election was the most secure election ever, whatever. There's like, give me a break. It's like, oh, this is the greatest vaccine in the world. It's the greatest human achievement. It's like, you're overplaying your hand, and everybody's getting into the nonsense. And the sheer audacity of the left wing to blame the right wing for questioning the election when they did it for 4 years. It's like, at least if you didn't question the 2016 election, you might have the moral high ground, but you dummies questioned it harder than a lot of right wingers. And not everything everyone conservative says is true, and not every question they have about machinery or voting is right. Like, people are suspicious, and they're saying sometimes more, they're biting off more than they could chew. But for the most part, if you're going to sit there and say this is the most secure election, and then you see some guy get bopped with software, of course. And this is my main take, as far as Big Pharma elections. If you create a society where you're not allowed to question an election, or you're not allowed to question a vaccine, you're screaming for the higher levels to be corrupt. Why wouldn't they? Imagine if I could just do whatever I wanted and just make millions of dollars, and it's like, oh, nobody could question me no matter how bad I get. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't you get bad at that point? So that's what we certainly can't allow. We can't allow, but I personally think they're overplaying their hand. And I'll say this too, because I was thinking about this last night. 4 years ago, if you say the word racist, I'm like, whoa, where? If you say the word sexist, I'm like, oh my gosh, where? If you say the word homophobic, I'm like, oh, that's mean. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I don't know, I'm losing track of time. You would have caught my attention with those words and been like, I'll look into that person. Now, the left wing has overplayed their hand. When I hear, and this doesn't mean I'm a bad person, but when I hear the word racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, anti-Semitic, anti-vaxxer, climate denier, when I hear these words, I just think to myself, oh, that person's just lying. Like, it's like the boy who cried wolf. I don't believe a word you say anymore because I've seen you use those words. Fascist, he's a fascist. I don't think twice when I hear these words. So this is my message to left-wingers. I mean, I don't know if they even listen to me anymore, but are you trying to strengthen the right wing? Because it's almost like the left wing's controlled op to make the right wing stronger. You've made millions of people right wing. What's made me realize I was more right-leaning, perhaps it was right-leaning people, me growing up, me learning taxes, like myself, self accountability, becoming more of a man. That's part of it, but really a huge part of it was also the left going so crazy and me identifying these people are dishonest. It's not even about, this or that, but it's like you guys are just so fake, Like I have good energy. I could meet somebody of any ethnicity and be like, oh, that's a real one. You know what I'm saying? That's a good person. I like that person. I like their energy. I like their attitude. And then I could meet somebody and be like, oh, that person's a phony. Like I have good instinct like that. And the left has just become phony. So this is just my point to the left wing. If you're trying to make the right wing stronger and destroy the words racist, sexist, climate, like if that's what you're doing a really good job. Like, yeah, you're ruining society in the meanwhile and brainwashing kids, but really I would say that they've strengthened the right wing harder than ever before. You have tens of millions of people in America that used to be left wing or moderate that are now considered right wing. You have places like Italy going right wing a lot, more than they've gone since World War II. It's not any other reason besides these left wingers are so fake and annoying that nobody wants to be with them. And here's the thing, when it comes to music and entertainment, I don't make TV or film, so I can't really compete in that industry, and it looks like the right wing's failing. But when it comes to music, you're boring, you're lame, like you're making me more of a rock star. I'm gonna drop a song next Friday. It's gonna connect with hundreds of millions of people because I'm saying things they actually care about. I'm not wearing a dress. I'm not acting like it's revolutionary to be non-binary and putting a thing in my nose and just complaining about the climate. This thing's played out. It's boring. It's stupid. Like, you guys are lame now. You're not cool. You're not fun. So I don't even really specifically care because it's just helping me in my career, making me stand out, making me the rock star. And you guys are just lame. But that's just like, even if there's left-wingers who are like journalists who watch my video and they're like, I hate it. Not like, you can say what you want about me. You can write stupid articles. At this point, I'll always defend myself. But are you this is my question to left-wingers. Are you trying to make the right wing stronger? Because you're doing a good job. You're doing a great job of making the right stronger. You're doing a great job of boosting conservative culture. And you're doing a great job of making people not care about the words racist, sexist, xenophobic, homophobic. Like, you've pretty much made those words useless. You've rendered them completely useless to hundreds of millions of people. Now hear the word racist and sexist and xenophobic and homophobic, and they don't even think twice about it. Not because they're racist or sexist or homophobic like you'll claim. It's just because you're the boy who cried wolf. You've overused and lied and exaggerated about those words so many times that I don't even believe it. It's like the word anti-Semitic. I have love for Jews in Israel, but when I hear the word anti-Semitic, I don't think, oh, that person's telling the truth. I think, oh, that person's exaggerating. I don't care if they're left-wing or right-wing. 9 times out of 10, when someone uses the word anti-Semitic, they're exaggerating, they're lying. They can't have a debate about something that's deep, and they just want to use an easy word to be like, it's over, the conversation's over, I win. That word is, what makes it that? There's discussions about race, location. These are tough discussions, but if you just use a word, I say that I think this is true about homosexuality, and you just say you're a homophobe, it doesn't even make sense. You think I'm afraid of gay people? Like they're in the corner and it's a phobia? It's not accurate. So because they've been so inaccurate with their accusations, when I hear their accusations, I don't believe a single one. I just assume they're lying and exaggerating, which, if their cause is truly to spread awareness to racism, sexism, they're not doing it. Like, that's the point. And this is, I think, why the left is starting to fail, like, in multiple ways. Even when they win, they lose. Oh, we won. We have LA. LA sucks. Oh, we won. We have San Francisco. San Francisco sucks. Even when you win, you lose. Yeah, you have the 2 greatest cities in the world, and you ran them all into the ground. New York City, LA, run into the ground. Oh, yeah, you really won. Even when you win, you're losing. You're fighting reality. You're fighting the truth. So, winning is losing for them. But the reason they're also losing is because in order to be good at anything, you need competition and you need to be real with yourself to step it up, but they don't want to step it up. It's like, let's talk about gay, sexual, like whatever you want to talk about, but be honest about it. Regardless of how you feel, even if you're not a Christian, be honest about it. Just be raw, be real, be fair, be accurate. If you can't do that, you're going to get left behind. You're going to be a laughing stock. Like, half of the things that they're doing now, you have to understand that these people that prop themselves up like they're so popular, They're actually not. It's all fake. It's all bots. It's all PR. It's all smoke and mirrors. They don't have real audiences. That's why they have to take away the likes. That's why they have to shadow ban people. I make an Instagram video, I get 300,000 views and 2,000 comments. You know, a celebrity makes a video and 50 people comment on it and they have to boost the likes. Their whole world is fake. It's not even like they're that popular. It's not 50%, 50%. Most left-leaning people are tired of this stupid crap. It's just like annoying. It's like overblown. It's just cringy. They're not doing anything interesting or like, you know, impressive anymore. It's all just like complaining and acting like left is right, right is left, down is up is down, like clouds are the ground's clouds. At a certain point, it's not 50-50. It's like 2% of the population, 3% of the population somehow has every position at, you know, music magazines and Pitchfork and all these hipster blogs and stuff, and they're writing these articles in this culture that most of the world is just tuning out. It's like, yeah, I want to hear the song, not that I don't care that he's wearing a dress. Like, that's not the appealing part. So, you know, they're losing a lot of people, you know, and they're definitely, if the silent majority could actually like effectively organize and put their energy into a certain place, like, you know, I think things could change. Like, I think Rumble's doing a good job, but if True Social, Parler, Getter, if they all merged, you know what I'm saying, and actually tried to do something versus like just splitting up, maybe they could have a bigger impact. But I don't think they're winning. You know, I see what they're doing, and I'm like, it's getting stale. Nobody likes it anymore. Like, it's like you're going against the grain. Most, like, can't be, I don't care how much money you make or connections to industry, like that can't be fun knowing you're lying and having most people just shake their head at you. Like, it's not fulfilling. Someone said Newsom is boasting about handing out $1,000 tax rebate. He wants to be Mr. Beast so bad. Yeah, I read that he's handing out like inflation money. It's just like, dude, this country's so crazy. They just like keep printing money and handing out money. Like, what? You know, I don't know. I'm coming to the conclusion now that you have to be, you know, this is a tough year. It's been a tough year. You have to be like rich in order to be middle class now. And if you're middle class, it's like you're going to be broke until these people stop printing money. And here's the crazy thing. Gavin Newsom sucks. He's definitely not helping. California is mismanaged like crazy. But the Republicans are just controlled op. They're like, oh, money printing's bad. They printed money in 2020. Has anybody apologized for it except for Thomas Massey, who doesn't have to because he was against it? Like, to me, the whole Republican Party's fake. Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, Tim Scott, they're all phonies. Oh, they're printing too much money. Yeah, they are, but didn't you just do that? But it's different when we did it because it's because of a virus. Oh, yeah, it's real different when you did it. It doesn't matter why you printed the money. If you print the money, people are going to be broke. It's like the two-party system is a genius way to never actually get anything done because it's like, oh, Biden sucks. Let's get the people back in office who just printed all the money, but let's not tell them that they did it. It's like, okay, why? I don't know. Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, they're two of the good ones for sure. Definitely better. I hope we turn our economy around because it's like, I'm not trying to be poor, you know? I'm not trying to lose everything I just got here, you know? I don't want to go back on the bus. Stop, Joe Biden. Stop printing money, Gavin Newsom. I don't want to be poor. I just got money. It took me 10 years, 12 years of working my ass off. I'm not trying to go to the gulag. I just got here. Let me go on vacation. Let me go on a cruise without showing my freaking identification for Big Pharma. Welcome to the cruise line. Do you have your Big Pharma identification? Can you wear a mask? It's like, ew. What the hell? It was all 2020. I'm like, oh, I'm going. Next thing I know, I wake up, everybody's wearing a mask. What the hell are you guys doing to this country? It's so crazy. And then people think it's like, oh, we need to free Iran. Like, what world are you living in that America's free? We still don't allow people to come here without a vaccine when it comes to travel. We're one of the worst countries when it comes to travel freedom in the entire world. You know, focus on getting the mask off a woman in your family, not getting a freaking burqa off someone in Iran that you never met. You know, let's Let's focus on ourselves. It's like America's the fat friend that's 700 pounds. It's like, oh, you look fat. And you're like, dude, you're also really fat. It's like, oh, that's hate speech, you know? I don't know why I always use that as an example. It's just an easy example to digest. Like, America's the 700-pound friend who's like looking at other people and just be like, you're fat. You need to be less fat. Like, how the hell are you going to make me less fat? I just can. I'm going to export the good parts of, we're going to make Iran like it was in the 80s. America's not even like Iran was in the 80s, and America's not like America is in the 80s. How the hell is America going to export the good parts of American culture and not the bad parts when we can't even get rid of the bad parts here? Whether you're left-wing or right-wing, if you asked most left-wingers, you said, do you think American culture is amazing? Most left-wingers, a majority, would say no. They don't even like their own country. If you asked a majority of right-wingers, do you think American culture is satanic or like amazing? Most would say satanic. You know, most left-wingers and right-wingers, if you ask them in separate ways, would say that they think their own culture and their own society is rotten and sick. Yet we're going to take our rotten and sick society and give only the good parts to a foreign Muslim country, but not the bad parts. It doesn't make any sense. You know, most people in this country aren't even happy with how it's going. Why would we export that to another country? So I just use that as an example. It's like when we heal ourselves, we can lead by example, and then other people will want to be us again. You know, we could be Joe Cool again. Make America cool again. We used to be cool, you know? Hey, what's up? You know, Western films. We used to be cool. What happened? Now we're not cool anymore. We're like a less cool version of Lizzo. We're like Lizzo if she couldn't play the flute and she had no talent. Like, at least say what you want about Lizzo. She's got some talent. She's got some moves. Our country's like Lizzo with no talent. It's okay. We'll get there. Someone said, bro, European rap talking about shooting people with their trigger finger, the world's getting the hood mentality. Yeah, I mean, American rap culture, I'm not saying all of it because a lot of it's good. If you look at old rap, they were talking about something, then it got hijacked by, like, you know, gangster rap, and now the whole world wants to copy America because we're trailblazers in certain ways. So I'm not surprised. It's like, how are you talking about trigger fingers in Europe? You don't even have a gun, you know? He's like, I talk about my knife violence. It's like, and then I saw Tyson Fury, my favorite boxer. He said, oh, stop knife violence, stop carrying knives. Like, I like Tyson Fury, but he sounded like a left-winger in America, except gun was replaced with knife. It's like, it's not the knife that killed your cousin, it's the person with the knife. You can't just outlaw knives, and a good guy not carrying a knife isn't going to stop a bad guy from not carrying a knife. So, like, the fact that the same thing's happening in Europe, except it's knife violence, he's like, stop knife violence, be a real man, put the knife down. It's like, yeah, you want me to sell my kitchen knives too? You know, it's like, that's not going to stop a bad person from doing something bad. I get why people don't want people to be stabbed, but it's like, it's not the knife. Or as Alex Jones said to Piers Morgan, it's not the iron rod, Piers. You know, have you ever seen that? He said, Hitler took the guns, Stalin took the guns, Mao took the guns, and if you try to take our firearms, Piers, that's like one of the funniest interviews. Alex Jones. If you've never seen it, Alex Jones versus Piers Morgan on gun control on CNN. Somehow, years ago, before America went insane, they used to let Alex Jones on CNN, and he just ripped Piers a new you-know-what. It was just it's the funniest interview. He's like, oh, big sponsor. Hey, you don't want me to talk about Big Pharma, huh? And it's like, it's so funny. He's just like threatening to like do a boxing match against Piers Morgan. Too good. All right, I'm going to take off. I said I was going to keep this 20 minutes, but like always, I failed. It's okay. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. Have a beautiful day. I'm going to have more videos soon. Like I said, it's starting to be beanie season, and no joke, God bless beanies. These are clean. They're nice. They fit well. I have a big head, literally physically, not metaphorically, but think what you want. I just have a large head, so with these ones, if you do have a big head as well, it stretches so it can fit your head, but I got like 7 prototypes last year, and we could have got a lot more of other hats that were cheaper, but I didn't like them because they were too thin and they hurt my head. So, you know, I these ones are pretty wide, you know, but like not too wide that they're going to fall off, but like I'm picky. So I had 4 hats. I'm like, I don't know. I could sell these, but it's kind of like, it's like strapped to my head and it's hurting my head. These ones fit like a glove. You know, these are the Fire Flame. You know, I picked these out, and I'm probably going to get more. So check them out at dreamwear.com. They definitely work. I don't know if we have any hoodies. The hoodies turned out really great. Like they are really comfortable, but I don't know if I'm going to do hoodies again this winter. I'm pretty sure they sold out except for like XXXL. So if you're huge, you could still get one, but you know, they were expensive. I mean, the hoodies cost like between 30 and 40 bucks just to buy, you know? So that's why I had to sell them for so much, because they're made in the US. You get a Chinese sweatshirt for like 15, 20 bucks, but the American ones cost a lot. Any in cotton? I definitely have cotton shirts and you know, my size, but yeah, I don't know if I have cotton hats, so apologize, but check it out. Appreciate you guys, and I'll be back very soon.